Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. Abstraction. Abstracting from the needs, the apparent needs of the character. The needs that invite investment, engagement. The needs that entice action, fulfillment. These are not mine, not me. I am pure stillness. So good morning everyone once again. Just reminding everyone we use WhatsApp as a means of communication. The number appears on the comments. You can send your questions. So I will talk about a little bit about these two parts of the first two parts of the spiritual process. The first has to reach humbleness, but not as a psychological concept, but as a living presence. And the second one, this humility, will be challenged, enticed in the second part. Well, first of all, a real spiritual process, alive, awakened, ongoing, it's very difficult to achieve. Very difficult. Well, guidance is needed to be able to go through that process for many reasons. But let's focus on a few basic ones for you to have a glimpse, a little bit of understanding about it. You are the master of avoiding the life of the spiritual process and the spiritual process itself. But even to get to this point of avoiding, it takes time because, firstly, well, yes, probably there is the spiritual calling, probably there's a serious calling, but at the same time, you're like in a labyrinth, and you think you have many choices, infinite options for you to select, going here, there, or whatever. But human life is very basic, very conditioned to the same paths, more or less, to the same experiences, not in the form, but in the content. So what you call normal life is just repetition of the same patterns, like a computer program that just keeps on going according to the program which is there. And as you are following your whims, your ideas, your opinions, and all of this, you're just following the script and turning, as you try to answer that spiritual calling, you are in fact just moving in automatic to get the same experiences from this new prospect. And the program is there to waste your time, to distract you, to keep you entertained, and for you to try to live those same things over and over again, and time just flying. So you may be practicing meditation, studying scriptures, this or that, if you reach that far. But to make it alive, it's like piling wood on the floor, bringing all those items which are needed to build a fire, but without any fire. The ingredients are there, but it's not burning, it's not hot. And as you move according to your ideas, you are avoiding the real path. And if you don't understand this, you will just continue in the same, because if you don't understand that you are your biggest obstacle, then you will not be able to go to the next level. And making it alive is the first step. Then you have to endure it. And even previously, you'll have to endure a lot of things that will enable you to go to the next phase. And these are painful experiences, because as you are moving around according to your ideas, it's like you're the base and you're trying to build something on top of that to improve whatever is there according to your ideas, your whims. And it doesn't matter. This is very important. It doesn't matter if your philosophy is spot on or it is by far away from whatever. It doesn't matter. Both are nothing. Even if it is spot on. Because it is just concepts. It's not the fire. It may be something written there about fire, but it's not fire. So it doesn't matter if it is spot on or if it is far out. Because even if it is spot on, it is replacing the real experience. And a great level of humbleness is needed so that there's some life coming into the spiritual process. And that humbleness is the product of the several tests and difficulties that come into your path. And if you by any chance, in an intense way, and if by any chance you survive to all of that without going back, then you will have a product which is humbleness. Not complete humbleness, but a certain amount of it. And that will enable for the presence of the living spiritual process, the spark, a small flame, something that appears, and then it's up to you to take care and to increase it, But you are wired, body-mind complex is wired not to allow this, to run from this. Because it is about emptying the character, not improving it. It's about, in worldly terms, losing, not gains. It doesn't matter the intensity of your calling. What matters is if it is there or not. But whatever garbage you're carrying around, it will glue itself into that calling and will reshape it. So purification is a must. But your mind unknowingly first will take you to different directions. Most of the times you will not touch even anything of this. And you're just following, what you think it's best, not knowing that you're just walking in circles and avoiding the path of fire. And then, if you are able to, because if there are spiritual practices, there are gains, even if few, they will mount, they will pile up, and then they will bring some openings. First, you saw that you were procrastinating, sabotaging. But if you can go beyond that and enter a certain intensity, you will find out the part of you that doesn't want. And there will be identification with that. Something difficult to break also. Possible through hard work, always. But the mind is gain motivated, is profit motivated. Without profit at sight, doesn't want to move. With profit in sight, wow, it moves fast. And more or less this is how the majority goes, with the ideas of profit, and then surprise, surprise. So there are a lot of layers to be known, to be seen. And those layers talk about your illusion, how it sustains itself, the circles that it walks on. And it's important for you to see them so that you can start transcending them. But going through that initial intensity, it's very difficult because you feel very bad. You feel destroyed, you feel hopeless, you feel that it's not possible. Lots of negativity, lots and lots and lots of negativity, mental negativity, emotional negativity. It's overwhelming, apparently. But that's how it starts. Because if it doesn't go through this, and you keep up the intensity, and you just increase it, then you're just moving in circles. Same circles. Previously to the calling, there were these circles in certain circumstances. Then the calling comes and same circles, only apparent new circumstances. It's not about liberation, it's about same old, same old. Someone said it is a narrow path. Well, you don't need to have a very big path because there's not so many crossing it. So a narrow path is enough. But in the sense that you have to qualify for it through your sincerity, through your efforts. And everybody thinks they are sincere. If everything is coming from here, you're just a puppet, walking on strings and not seeing the hand which is moving the strings. Nothing new, just same circles, same circles. And you're not observing it, not observing these circles. You just see them usually in the bad moments that you finally see, oh, I'm here again. And these tests, they defy logic, they defy common sense, they defy your concepts of right and wrong, especially those concepts. Because illusion sums up to your beliefs on reality, on yourself. And these beliefs, they are the fuel to the fire of the spiritual process. So it means for you to move forward, you have to crush some of your beliefs, throw them into the fire, because either that or give up or go back to the same circles of nothingness. Because, or else you will not be able to remain there. You will avoid it immediately, even before it becomes difficult or intense. Because this is how you're wired. So it will defy your beliefs. And before life arises, you have no idea. Oh, you have many ideas, but they have nothing to do with the life of the process and with the reality of it and of its mechanics. It is when it rises that you get this glimpse that whatever you thought has nothing to do. Whatever your mind was telling you has nothing to do. So going through these first stages and arriving to the point where a flame is there, to rise at that place, if it wasn't just by blessing, if it was for hard work, because sometimes there's blessing there and it brings it on. But the work that you haven't done, you will have to do it, or else you will lose it. So as this comes, there's a product which is very important. Humbleness. The product of this first part of the work. And if you don't protect that, you will lose it. If you don't continue, if you haven't learned in the first part, the direction is towards simplicity, towards humbleness, towards purity. And if you don't take care of this, you will lose it. The difficulties, the prior difficulties have helped in this sense because whatever sense of importance, pride, vanity, sophistication, whatever was there has been held on to and squeezed and punched. So it's like throwing in the dirt, like throwing your head in the dirt and putting a foot on top of it. In this first part, this is what happened to these aspects of the character. And what emerged was something a little bit more simple, but that didn't solve these aspects. They are there, but they had no room because it was so much frustration, so much failure, so much pain involved, so much sacrifice. There was no room for this. But when that flame arises, there's a new air for you to breathe. And as you are breathing this, you are taking your head from the ground, from the dirt, and rising. So now, these aspects that didn't have any room, they start having room. They are getting also the oxygen. It's not just for the humble one. Everything there is getting some oxygen. And this is very important because as your shadows start getting some oxygen, they will resume their previous investments. They will appear where they weren't. they will come to take over that little flame. And what your spiritual process is asking you without asking is, have you understood the first part? Because it's not supposed to be the circumstances that separates you from those twisted aspects of the personality, those impurities. It's up to you. So in the first part, you were forced to do it. Second part, you have to take it in your hands. So in the second part, those things that weren't visible become more visible. And you will see that not only you were running away, but you are building options to divert you from the narrow path. And it's a product of those aspects that were crushed previously and are now more loose, getting oxygen. So they start to make the same investments to get the same benefits, whatever that means. But now you are being able to see more and more. And how you behave makes all the difference. If you are seeing it and you know it's not right and still you are doing it, it's like throwing water into the flame. Because with awareness comes responsibility. So this second part is actually even more difficult than the previous one, and it doesn't seem to be. Because in the previous one, you have opposition, you have intense friction, you have obstacles, that it becomes clear. It's like there's a big difference. Like, for example, if you're having a behavior that is wrong for you, and you know that it's wrong for you, but you're still doing it, you will take it more or less as normal. But if there's a behavior that is bad for you, and you're being forced by someone to do it, it will be much easier for you to fight back because there's the external enemy. And what's good for my enemy is not good for me, obviously. So this first part where there's more friction, more intensity in gross ways, it's more easy. The other one, the second aspect, is more subtle, more sophisticated. It's not about friction, it's about seduction. It has a lot of nuances, but less fricative, less friction. It's like a child. When the child is small, the parents make the decisions. As it grows up, becomes responsible for itself. And as it is responsible for itself, then we'll see what kind of character is there through the choices that it makes. And this is where either that flame is honored and continues to expand, or it is lost and has to be regained again. So this first part, being more intense, it's actually easier than the second part. It's like that example of the prison cell. If the prison cell is just hard concrete, dirty, cold, nothing comfortable there, it's easier to want to exit it, to get out from it. But if it is very nice, comfortable, sweet, you don't see even the bars of the prison cell, then it will be even difficult to see that you're in a prison. Time will go faster and faster. In the first part, you are deprived from your worldly desires. It is a part that you wanted them, but you have to turn your back to them to start this fire. In the second part, if you're trying to become steady, those same desires that run away from you, always run away from you, will start coming to seduce you. Look, I'm here. Wasn't this what you wanted? Come to me. Many fall on this one. And the problem is not going towards those desires. That's not the major issue. The major issue is dishonoring that flame. Because when it comes, if it gets dishonored, to get it back again, it will make that first part just some vacations in paradise. That first part that was so intense, so difficult, compared to regain this flame, it will make this first part like it was vacations in paradise. And that's not the part of, that's not the worst part. Because if it's still possible, then it's still good. But sometimes, then you have to wait. Depending how many times this has happened, what have you done with your choices? So from complete dispersion, absence of any focus, going in the first part, the intensity makes you develop a certain amount of focus, of concentration, of willpower, of determination, perseverance. And as this flame rises and this oxygen comes, there's sometimes this attitude of relaxing. But this is wrong. Focus needs to continue to increase, because that's what maintains everything. So whatever new investments by these sophisticated aspects, they are distraction. And they are those structures feeding again, rebuilding again, reshaping, adapting. So if the flame is there, it's not time to relax. It's time to intensify even more. Honoring that flame. Using it to burn more and more, to increase that fire. And then there's a third part, but we will not cover it today. even these two parts. If you have no idea what I'm talking about. As a whole, not as just a few parts, because everybody has its own experience and can just say, oh, I was living this or that. But as a whole. And to make it alive, to become real, this is how it goes. These are the stages. There's always nuances here and there. Circumstances vary a lot, but the inner experiences, more or less, are like this. But your mind will struggle against this. This is why guidance is very important, crucial, because your mind is wired to go against this, to avoid these things, even before getting exposed or coming even close to be exposed to that. Because its investments are contrary to this. They are opposite. They are worldly investments to improve the dream, apparently. Not exactly, but apparently. Because if your dream became perfect, it would be boring. Perfect in your sense of perfection. So this good and bad, this is what gives the flavor, what keeps you busy, occupied. And you'll see, if you started in the spiritual path sometime now, some years ago, and despite many circumstances have changed, the core, the life of the spiritual process, if it hasn't changed, well, that says a lot. If you're still fighting for the same things, the same worries, living the same life for the same reasons, despite what you say to yourself, you're just walking in circles. And the majority of spiritual seekers, they are walking in circles. And the only thing that can help you, for those who don't have guidance, is the intensity of the spiritual practice. But understand that to be able to use that as a tool, you will have to endure the difficulties that arise from maintaining an intense spiritual practice. Let's call it meditation, because the rest is just instruments that the mind will use to maintain its own investments. Meditation, stillness, it's that which can enables you to see beyond the curtain a little bit. You will need that to have a glimpse of yourself from this part of the curtain. So starting or intensifying already a meditation practice, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 11, 12 hours, whatever is possible. in a steady fashion, maintained through a long period of time, this will bring the intensity needed, and if you endure it, you have a chance, if guidance is not there. Otherwise, walking in circles, that's all there is. How to focus? Well, first you have to be clear that freedom is the only goal for you. This has to be clear. And as this is clear, this gives you a vision of what's important and that which isn't. And this is where you start to abstract from worldly investments that are not aligned with your quest for liberation. You will start with what you can, because, of course, your mind will tell you a lot of things. Oh no, but this is needed because this is supporting that in some sense. It will make this blah, 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 blah. And you want to believe it, so it's perfect. But with what you already know, that has nothing to do with your process of liberation, as you cut it out, you will start having this fear and anxiety that you're also asking how to deal with it. And how you deal with these things is simple. It is through stillness. Fear and anxiety are mechanisms to make you go back to the same investments, to keep walking in circles. And they work because you believe. And they are there impelling you to do something. And how you deal with them is not doing whatever is impelling you to do. Not doing anything to change that circumstance which is bringing you fear and anxiety. And as you are present to those sensations, emotions, as you are constant present to that, it will lose the power it has over you, whatever the size of it. This is how you deal with it. Through stillness. This is agitation, chaos. And it will emerge, you will experience it, will do anything to change it, and it goes away. And then a more deeper one will rise, and it's the same process. And as you go through this, you will look again to where you're giving attention, and you will see more of those things which your mind said, oh no, but this is still needed. You will see, no, this was just rubbish. And you will cut more and more. More fear and anxiety will rise. And so on and so on and so on. There's this mistake in the second part, where things become a little bit apparently more shanti. These complexities are coming, and it's like, well, it's almost done. But it isn't. The same intensity that was previously has to continue. Whatever structures you had, unless guidance says otherwise. So whatever structures were there has to be maintained, or else that flame will disappear. And in this attempt to focus, there's a lot of things you will learn, because you will see that, well, trying to make friends or looking for a partner or worrying about money and all of these things, this is not aligned with the quest for truth. And I start cutting it. But as I start cutting it, I will find myself investing or trying to, or suffering because I'm not. And from this you can learn a lot from your own mechanics. And if it is difficult, so what is the meaning of all of this? Why am I anchoring for this. And then you will see, oh, so these goals are still here, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the specific conditions for them to rise again. So what will you do? You will destroy any chance for those circumstances to appear. And you will make sure that these sanskars, these mental impressions, will not find the necessary conditions. And as they are not sprouting, they can be burned in the fire of meditation. So these two parts are very important. I will answer your question. Oh, wrong button. Just 1 second. These buttons should be more intelligent. There should be one button and it should know what I want to do. Technology has not advanced that much. Let us wait a little bit because I was, well, disconnecting the cell phone. Okay, here it comes. Now in the right button, not working the button. Okay, I will answer your question now. Hello, how can we know whether we progress in the right way or not? For example, the more I feel complete, integrated, more myself, the more I'm confronted in conflict with people, not in verbal way at all, but my being triggers a lot of them. There was an expectation when I'm complete, human connections will be love, love, sweet. I would be loved and honored. I'm already listening to the violins. Sorry, couldn't resist this one. Not at all. The more I love myself, the more I'm breaking off people in an unusual way of interaction, at least. As you said to the previous questioner, it is same old, same old. Why still so much importance is being given to how I am with people? Why am I not good with them? Well, because these are the, like I was explaining in the beginning, these are the human investments that you had previous to the quest that come and use the new circumstances but to maintain the same goals. This is why it's there. So if the quest is there, I'm going through the sense that it is, but still other goals are still there, and this is limitation. It is limiting you for sure, because if they are here and you are making these questions, it means there are investments in this direction. Seen or unseen, they are there. And until the end, until awakening, it continues. The struggle continues. The part of you that seeks liberation and the part of you that doesn't want it. And this can be expressed through inner conflicts, into that intimate space of perception, emotions, thoughts, whatever, and also in the surroundings. The surroundings also work in a way to bring you back to the same vibration that you were previously, so that you continue to go down the ladder. You're trying to move up the ladder, and things and a part of you wants to go down the ladder. You will face this more and more. But this is good also because it gives you the opportunity to, how do you say this, to turn your back completely to these worldly desires. So it is good. Either you embrace them or you let them go. But as you are explaining, you are taking a lot of things with you still, too many. Because the relationship is that which comes from that flame, that loving relationship, elevating one, blissful, is what comes with the flame, with the source of the flame, not through others. But there's this idea, as I become more spiritual, things will become nicer with other people. Understand that whenever your vibration changes, becomes a little bit higher, you will see others coming to you in a very different way, more agitated, in a more fricative way, because they are just tools to make your vibration go back again to where it was. And this will affect you as long as you have these expectations, these worldly expectations that go back to self-esteem, acceptance, rejection, and all of these things. Your concept of perfection is always also associated with that. So in a way, there's a part which is using the spiritual path to improve the dream. So these ideas of more loving relationship, this is about improving the dream. And of course, if they are there, your surroundings will give you an opportunity to break with this concept. Either you let go of these ideas of this better relationships, and you'll have to make a choice. Either I want these better relationships, or I want to keep moving higher and higher, because they don't go hand in hand. They simply don't. So these ideas, they probably came from those who had the same ideas and like to write a lot, because, well, it's not really like that. Nature doesn't function like that. And I could say a lot more about this, but not sure if maybe it's too much. So when you're moving, usually there are hints around you, and for you to protect your own vibration in the example that you're giving, the clear indication is either you continue to mingle, going around and searching for those relationships, the improvement of the relationships, or you go the opposite way and you avoid these minglings so that you can protect the vibration and the continuity of your process. But some things will have to come more, because you need to cut with these investments, these worldly investments, this quest for the acceptance of others, from the improvement of relationships so that they are peaceful, loving, beautiful, and blah, blah, blah. There's no, you see, when you're on the track, on the right track, experiences don't follow, because people give a certain logic to experiences. And if something is starting here, it's probably going there and there and there. But in the spiritual sense, it doesn't work like this. Something starts to create some sort of circumstances for you to overcome something, and then it finishes, disappears, goes away. And the more intense you are on the path, the more quick this will come and go, come and go, come and go. Creating certain circumstances that you need to experience certain things to grow in the way that you need to grow, to let go what needs to be let go. And then it changes to another thing. Sometimes even the opposite, by common logic, crazy things. And surroundings. It's not about others, it's about the dream in itself. And the dream wants you to continue to dream. So what you call others that appear here in your what you call a waking state are not much different from those that appear in what you call the dream state. No difference whatsoever. If you had the time to build a relationship, giving importance, they would be the same. But they are the same. And they are unreal. So it's not about others, it's about the dream pulling you from that direction, bringing you back to where you're supposed to be, to your little space where you walk in your little circles. So those ideas about liberation, that is, it's about loving relationships, just for example, this is an obstacle. And your surroundings are giving you a choice. Either you continue looking for those perfect relationships as a reflection of your spiritual growth, or you move away from them and intensify and deepen that vibration. And these concepts subside because liberation is not there. When the fire comes, it's clear, the difference. It's very clear. If you want to know a little bit more, well, you can ask. My friend, I will answer your questions now. I walk in this circle, like you said, I see it clearly. I see there is only two paths. Follow my mental, even if it is less more, or follow only God. You have managed to mixture French and English. From a Portuguese perspective, this is very interesting. I see not many paths. Yes, you just need to see those two. I compose the same salad with the same ingredients. The same circle like a serpent who bites itself at the tail. I saw it clearly. Well, yes, this vision of these two paths, this is interesting because it will allow you to make choices more clearly. That will not make the choices less difficult, but at least more visible. And as for building your own salad, yes, as you are identified with the actions, with the thoughts, it seems that you are gathering the ingredients, but you will also find out when you stop arranging the ingredients, they will still come to you, in front of you, seducing you. So appearances, well, they don't really reveal much. But the more you focus, the more it becomes visible. Well, I think no more questions. And there was another question here, but okay, I will answer it here. Hello, I recently found you on Instagram. Oh, there's something else. More visible, but if I do nothing to stop it, or not enough, continues the same. And in a way, if you're seeing it and not stopping it, you're giving it your blessing. You're saying it clearly. This is what I really want. And that's a game changer. So as you are being able to see, this is responsibility. So whatever choices you are making, they say a lot more than your expectations or what you think you really want. Because if you're seeing that this is to feed these circles and you don't do anything to stop it, well, then you're saying that these circles is what I want, really. Despite you're repeating to yourself, no, I want liberation. But if you're still entertaining this, you're dishonoring the process and you're saying, no, this is what I really want. Actions speak louder than words. Okay, so I was reading. Thank you for revealing the truth. My heart much resonates with how you convey. Okay, I'll go back to you again. I feel it behind your presence. In continuation of this, the theme about spiritual path and put attention illusion, world, please help me to understand where money would come from. From a printer. I see from your website you do satsangs for free, and you don't ask donations. Well, actually, it's not for free because these equipments cost. They are not for free. I deeply feel like I don't need money at all, but still, I'm here on this planet. I love this sentence. This sentence is one of the most famous of all spirituality. I'm here on this planet in human body into this delusion at this time. Well, if you say so. Please tell, what's the currency when we're on a spiritual path? How the transition of money happens when you're going from illusion to the truth? Well, I may not say that, but I will say certain things, which are interesting, or they appear to be. You see, there's many young people, old people, that travel, sometimes the whole world, without any money. Just a backpack on their back, going hitchhiking, whatever they are doing, they don't have money. Or very little, they get someone away, they just do it. They do things that for others to do, they would spend a lot of money. There are many people that live in communities that they don't use money into their day-to-day interactions. There's a lot of things. But as a fashion, spirituality as a fashion. It's interesting, it's nice. But as something real, it has some distinct factors that you cannot, how do you say this? You cannot go around. So, if you're on the quest for liberation, that means a lot. And the attitude which is needed towards money, security, importance, and all of that is one. You need to move away from it. But it has to be serious so that the needed circumstances may come, and if it's not serious enough, they will not come. And then to keep the make-believe part, well, you have to have spiritual goals, but then maintain those mundane investments and still taking care of your safety, of your well-being, and all of these things. And you feel that you don't need it, but still you invest in it because you don't want to go through the fears, through the dependency, whatever it is. And you want to keep control. And probably that is killing your process, not allowing it to become alive. You cannot take care of both things at the same time. And that is a fact. And whatever are your fears and dependencies, you will have to go through them. As you try to move more into the spiritual path, it will be unavoidable. You will have to face those fears, dependencies. One thing is for sure, the real seeker of truth will find everything he needs. Not everything he thinks he needs, but everything he needs. And it will be through God's hand. And that is for sure. This question, have no idea what you're talking about. Deixa atrás o carregador aí do celular. Instagram here, it's low battery. Okay, here it is. That was a close one. So, Fitatlead, not sure if I'm reading correctly. If you want to improve your question, well, feel free to, because I didn't understand anything what you're talking about. Not sure if it's supposed to be taken seriously. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to expose them. I don't follow them, nor I have power left to do so, or I have any will. But they are continuing to knock on my door. This was kind of my childhood dream, my lifelong struggle, to be loved by everyone, to be respected. They are just knocking the door, but I thankfully cannot follow them. Of course, my choice is too clear. It is liberation. But because they continue to play in background, wanted to bring it to light by exposing them. I don't want to give more attention to these things anymore. And yes, please talk more about dreams pulls you back. I don't want to waste time and just cut everything which does not serve the quest for truth without delay. Yes, and for that matter, there's something very important. This feedback you are giving to me, that you have no interest, they are just coming and all of this. This is not a very correct way for you to look, because if you are looking to these things as they are solved, you are ignoring the fact they are still coming and it is creating some sort of agitation. So this means it's not really solved yet. But the mind has this tendency. It's like a self-protection or something. But it creates a space for you not to see it. Oh, this is solved, I don't want, I know, blah, 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 blah. And if you ignore this, then this will continue under the rug, moving around and continuing. It is coming. It is creating some sort of agitation. So it is better for you to put these ideas, these concepts that you are sure of, that you don't want anymore, and observe better. What part are you playing into these things coming? Where is your responsibility? In which sense have you opened the door or hint at any moment? And even if this is invisible, be sure that even if it is just energetically, you are attracting this to yourself. As these beliefs are still there, you are attracting this to yourself. So if it is coming, make sure that this is really solved in there. But I guarantee you that when it is solved, it will not create agitation. And eventually it will disappear because it will make no sense. As long as it makes some sense, it will come. Maybe you don't have an interest now on these situations. But in the moment of fragility, in the right circumstances, you fall. And this is very important, because neglecting your desires, your deep-seated desires, and just repeating to yourself, no, I just want liberation, and not wanting to look at those things, maintains the space where they can continue their investments and attracting these things. So you don't want it? Yes, that's one part. That's the conscious part. Now go and see if you can find some responsibility, something that triggered that in some way from your part. And I'm sure that if you look, you will find. Because I can guarantee you this, you are at the center of all of that. Sometimes it gets imposed. Sometimes it does. But it's the description that you are giving here doesn't fit that example. And 99% of times, it is your full responsibility, or shared a little bit, but it doesn't matter. The shared part, what comes from the outside, it doesn't matter. What matters is your part, because that's where you can make a difference. So instead of looking to what you want to see, oh, it is solved, oh, it is this, it is that, go try to see where it isn't solved. If it's actually there in some form. Because if you don't see it, it continues to grow and expand. If you see it, you can cut it from the root. So don't be afraid to see what you call your shadow or your, how do you say, your blind investments, your attachments. The more you see from your illusion, the better. It's like if I turn around, I see it. Thank you. I turn around the hole, and maybe I'm afraid of being absorbed in this siphon. Okay, I understand. I see it. What advice can you give? I already did. You have those two paths. Focus on the path of God. To start, that will be enough. As you are feeding both sides, well, you're still in the same. Oh, so just a joker. Okay. So next satsang will be Saturday, 9:30 in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Until then, make the best use of your time. Make it real. Patrz.